First of all, can you just introduce yourself and your role at Critical Manufacturing?
Yeah, hey, thank you so much for spending some time. My name is Jeff Richardson. I'm with Critical Manufacturing. I'm the Industry Solution Director at Critical. I've been with Critical for just over 6 years.
And for those who may not know about the company, how would you describe the manufacturing operations platform?
Right, yeah, so Critical Manufacturing makes an MES called Critical Manufacturing MES, but we make more than that. So we produce an entire manufacturing operations management catalog or environment. So that includes things like data capture, data and analytics, AI, a vast variety of other things, collaboration hub, many, many more things than that.
Some manufacturers are still running legacy MES systems. What makes Critical Manufacturing's platform stand out?
Yeah, I think probably the technology base. I was hearing somebody just the other day, they were talking about how we are built better. So we were one of the very first organizations to take our solution and move it to a containerized environment. What that means is it gives our customers freedom to really do anything they want with their architecture. So they could do on-premise architecture, they could have a full cloud architecture, they could do a hybrid architecture. It really gives them a big variety and flexibility for the things that they do. And what that means is they can even do different things at different sites. So if one site needs to have an on-premise system and another site needs to be in the cloud, that can happen. And it works very easily with what we do.
What challenges does this platform help medical device manufacturers address?
That's a big question. So medical device manufacturers fall into really two different categories, right? There's the ones that have been working with paper all the way up until now, and they haven't had an MES solution. So those medical device manufacturers can actually really gain a lot by having an electronic device history record. It's more than just paper on glass, because what the MES does is it enables the system to enforce business rules and policies all throughout the manufacturing process. And it makes the QA person's job at the very end of the manufacturing process a lot easier. So now they're not having to pour through records and look at line by line types of things. Instead, they're spending their time on the true exceptions, the things that where there was an issue during manufacturing. And the device history record just falls out at the end just as a kind of a natural byproduct of the MES itself. There are other organizations, maybe they have a classic MES, and maybe they're finding themselves in a position where they're either faced to do an upgrade, where there's maybe really no good path forward. And so we think that our technology brings a lot to bear for them beyond just the MES. So we can do things like advanced data analytics and AI that many other MES manufacturers haven't quite reached yet.
What are some common hurdles that manufacturers face when trying to digitally transform their operations?
Yeah, wow, that could be anything. Probably the biggest ones that I think I've seen in the past are the hurdles of transactions between systems. So as systems change, usually there are other systems involved, ERP, QMS, those are probably the big ones. And so maybe a manufacturer is going through an ERP change in addition to considering doing an MES change or even just adopting an MES. So that can be of interest, right? Because you don't want to build something that's going to be throwaway. You don't want to have a transaction created to a legacy ERP that you're not going to be able to use in the future. So we like to do things and design things that is not throwaway, something that could be used in the future. Same thing goes for equipment integration. Equipment integration can almost always be a challenge, especially for legacy pieces of equipment, but we think that we have a good way of attacking even those things as well. So again, I think our technology brings a lot to bear in the space.
Where do you currently see AI being successfully adapted, and are expectations ahead of reality?
Wow, okay, great question. So I actually visited a medical device manufacturer recently, and they're using AI on the shop floor, and it really kind of took me back, because the vast majority of medical device manufacturers I've seen are a little bit timid of AI, because they think about AI and they think about the qualification and the validation problems that AI brings. And this manufacturer was actually using it to help them do vision systems and looking at products in a very high-speed way, things that they typically had their regular human operators do, but the AI could do it much, much faster, and the way they took care of the qualification and validation worries is they always had a human in the loop that was confirming the things that the AI was telling them. So I thought that was a really novel approach and a very good approach. From a technology standpoint, I think we're going to see AI really more and more involved in platforms like MES and MOM. We use it today in our platform. We have an analytics engine that uses AI, but I think we're also going to see it do things like help with scheduling. So, how do I get the most orders through my system in the least amount of time possible? I think you're also going to see it in other ways too, like building UIs and building analytics and other kinds of user interfaces. And I also think it could make a big impact in the near future on doing actual MES implementations. So how do we configure the master data, and how can we let AI agents do that? So I think that's going to be some big news in the near future, because I think you're going to see MES implementations, the timeline for those actually rapidly drop and become much more less expensive to do.
And what needs to be in place before AI can deliver real value?
Yeah, man, you've got some great questions today. Thank you so much for these. So we talk a lot about your systems and how can they be intelligent and how can they have agency. And number one, the systems themselves have to have intelligence before they can even have any kind of agency. So intelligence is more about the system and what it knows, what it understands, right? And that can be data, yes. It can be transactional data that is typically found in MES. It can be continuous data that is typically found in like a data platform solution, or it can be a kind of a combination. So yeah, you may have a UNS, but is it data in context, right? So intelligence comes from that data in context, having the full picture. And then once you have that intelligence, that's when you can move to agency. And that moves to, what can your system do? How can it actually deliver on some of these commitments that you've made? And so that's where AI comes into play.
And finally, are there any misconceptions that manufacturers have about MES that you'd like to clear up?
Wow, goodness. That's a great question. Let me think about that one for just a second. So I think a lot of manufacturers, some of them may in the past, and maybe this is not so true anymore, but in the past they've been a little bit hesitant perhaps about adopting MES because they worry about things. They worry about, okay, well, how am I going to qualify this? How am I going to validate it? And what happens if I need to make a change, and how I have to go through revalidation? And they think about that, and then they also start to think about the cost associated with it. All those things have gotten so much better and so much cheaper and so much faster. We ourselves, we have some really nice validation tools that enable our customers to become validated much faster than they might have first realized. And that's even changing too. As the FDA starts to move into kind of the idea of continuous validation based on risk analysis, we're ready, and we can do those types of things as well. So I think that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions.
That's everything. Thank you very much for your time.
Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Perfect.